You're about to start writing and you have no idea what tense you should be using. Should it be past tense, present tense, future tense? Is that one even a thing? All you know is that now you're stressed out about getting it wrong. So in this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about tense, how to use them, and why you might prefer one over the other. The first one we'll talk about today is past tense. That's when you write everything as if it already happened. And I got like a little sample passage here that I want to read for you that I've done. He dodged to the right and swung his hammer with all his might. Shockwaves ran up his arm on impact, making his hands go numb. So if you noticed, I say all of this as if it's already happened. From what I've seen, this is by far the most common, and I don't necessarily know what the reason is for it, but I would speculate that the reason is because most of storytelling throughout history was done before there was even writing, and most of it was like tribal elders telling people and recounting these tales of stuff that is supposed to have happened. So entertaining this sort of homebrewed theory about why things tend to be in past tense, a lot of it was told through the lens of this happened and then this happened. Now, it is very true that these stories were verbally told and then later on they were written down when writing started, and that they were said as if they did for sure happen in the past. You can think about tales like Herne the Hunter, Hengist and Horsa. There's certain stuff where we aren't even 100% sure if it was real or myth or started out real and then got exaggerated over the years, decades, centuries, and became myth. Now again, do I know the real reason? No, that's just a bit of speculation, theory, some conjecture. The thing that is actually important right now is the fact that past tense is the most common in general. It tends to feel like the standard way to tell a story, and it tends to feel like the safest bet. And the way to do it is to literally put everything in past tense. Using the example that I said at the start, he dodged to the right. If you want it to feel immediate or like it's happening right now, you can still throw a comma in at the end of your sentence and extend it, and you can use a verb with ing at the end. In our example, shockwaves ran up his arm on impact, comma, making his arms go numb. This makes it clear that it's happening right now and gives it a certain sense of immediacy, or at least really, really connects it to show that it's the result of what happened at the beginning of that sentence. Now, if you're already in the past tense, how do you talk about something that happened in the past of your story? I have a passage here to give you an example. He stayed up all night thinking about that fight, the way he had swung the hammer, how the impact had rattled his bones. Now that tense, using the word had, is called past perfect. It is what you would use to show that something happened in the past of that story, like a long time ago, or maybe a short time ago in relation to what you're telling right now. You don't got to get too caught up on the label or the terminology of the grammar. Just use the word had and then put your actual verb in past tense. That's all you got to do for it. Now with present tense, you write everything as if it's happening right now, and we'll use our exact same example. I got it written down right here in present tense. He dodges to the right and swings his hammer with all his might. Shockwaves run up his arm on impact, making his hands go numb. So as you can see, I say it all like it's happening right now, And just like before, I use a comma and extend my sentence and use an ing verb to make it feel even more immediate and even more like all of this is happening at once. You'll notice on that point, a lot of the differences between these two tenses is a little bit on the superficial side. It's not necessarily the most difference in practice. Now, if you want to talk about something that happened in the past when you're using present tense, that's okay, totally doable. We just use regular past tense. Using this example, he stays up all night thinking about that fight, the way he swung that hammer, how the impact rattled his bones. So you'll notice we have present tense, and then we have past tense, and then we have past perfect. And it's just a question of, do you want to use past and past perfect, or do you want to use present and then past to talk about things that happened a while ago? Now, there will be scenarios in present tense where you write something like, the blacksmith has fixed the sword, or the blacksmith had fixed the sword. It's not a huge deal, right? Just write out what feels good. Make sure you're not accidentally switching back and forth kind of thing. Now, as for future tense, that's when you say something like, he will go to the store, because you're talking about something that's not going to happen until the future. There may be scenarios where you want to do that. I wouldn't write a whole book in future tense, though. I can't think of a single scenario where that makes any sense. But in your book, you will be talking about the future sometimes, and you will happen to use future tense. There's no rule against it or anything, right? Like, how are you going to talk about a raid that happens next week? Your character will be going to a raid. The more you write, the more you're going to get a feel for your craft, and the less you're going to be hung up on the minutia. So which one should you use? If you're writing scripts, there's an actual hard answer. You're going to want to use present tense. If it's a script for a movie, TV series, video game, doesn't matter. It's all written in present tense. That's just how it goes. But if you're writing a novel, now you got some more flexibility. I would say it's mostly dependent on what you like the feel of, and to the end user, it doesn't make a huge deal. They do have a different feel to them, but your tense isn't going to be what makes a reader put down your book. So just choose one and stick to it. It shouldn't change unless there is some kind of narrative reason for why it should change. For example, if your character stumbles across an old journal, maybe your book is in present tense, but that journal is written in past tense because that's how the journal was literally written in your world. So I've written another example here today. I'm just going to read it straight from my notes so that I can't get it wrong here. Tiber walks into the old ruin and passes by ancient debris. He picks up a journal, one far newer than anything else he's found so far, and he starts reading. And now the journal starts. First of Frostmourne, the expedition has gone well. We set up, I can't even read my own handwriting. We set up our outpost and started initial scouting of the area. The area north of camp looked promising. And now he's done reading it. So Tiber closes the journal and tosses it to the side with the rest of the trash. And that's the end of the passage. So in our example, I switched tenses there to show the difference between what's happening in the story and what's part of the journal. And realistically, most people write their journal in past tense, right? It's like, I did this, I did that. And I also snuck in a little free character moment there. Tiber tosses the journal to the side along with the rest of the trash. So that tells us Tiber isn't part of the expedition and doesn't value what's in the book. He considers it garbage, even though to them it was something that was very much worth actually stopping and taking note of. So to reiterate, choose whichever tense you prefer and don't change it unless you have a reason to. It doesn't matter if your book is written in first person or third person. That has no bearing on the tense at all. Just start writing and find out what works for you. So make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below for any questions you got.